when Tiana first stepped through the creaking doors of the old, worn-down building at the edge of New Orleans. She didn't see cobwebs, broken beams, or peeling paint. She saw possibility. She saw music and laughter drifting through warm lantern light, saw families sharing gumbo, and friends dancing beside a brass band. She saw what would one day become Tiana's palace. Beside her, Prince Naveen admired the place with wide-eyed optimism, while Charlotte and Big Daddy LaBeouf looked around with a mix of curiosity and concern. It wasn't beautiful, yet. The floors were uneven, and the ceiling sagged, but to Tiana, none of that mattered. She stepped into the center of the room, breathed in deeply, and imagined the smell of fresh beignet rising from the kitchen. She imagined the long hours she had worked for years finally transforming into something real. This wasn't just a building, this was her dream. As she wandered through the dusty space, moving around broken tables, lifting old curtains, inspecting the warped windows, Tiana remembered the countless nights she had spent serving food, running orders, cooking, cleaning, and collapsing from exhaustion only to get up and do it all again. She remembered hustling between Mama's orders and Mama Odie's advice, Ray's optimism, and Louis's silly trumpet serenades. Every step she'd taken had led to this. But her story didn't start with a palace. It began long before, in a simple kitchen, with a wooden spoon in her small hand and a pot of gumbo simmering on the stove. Back then, she rushed through her days with determination sharper than any knife in her kitchen, delivering beignets to eager customers, dodging Buford's gruff shouting, and racing through cooking tasks that never seemed to end. The city buzzed with life around her, marching bands, jazz notes drifting through the air, and the warm voices of friends who relied on her beignet to brighten their day. One afternoon, Charlotte burst into the shop like a hurricane of pink silk, announcing her masquerade ball and begging Tiana to cook her special gumbo. Tiana agreed, whipping together the perfect pot with practiced precision. Charlotte, thrilled, dragged her off to choose a dress, attempting to wrap Tiana in sparkles, lace, and frills that she insisted were absolutely essential. But the masquerade ball would change everything. That night, surrounded by golden lights, animated dances, and the lively chatter of guests, Tiana arrived at the ball to hand over her gumbo. Naveen appeared with his charming smile. The musicians played their hearts out, and Charlotte glided through the crowd in a swirl of excitement. Then came the twist, an encounter with a strange little man named Dr. Facilier. His magic twisted the night into chaos. With a flash of dark energy and a sinister grin, Tiana found herself transformed into something she never expected. A frog. And to her horror, Naveen had been turned into one too. The ballroom erupted in screams and confusion as the petite amphibians hopped frantically between tables and under guests' feet. Musicians stumbled over instruments. Charlotte fainted dramatically onto a velvet sofa, unable to reverse the spell. Tiana and Naveen lunged for the nearest open window and leapt into the night. Their desperate escape landed them deep in the Louisiana bayou, steamy, mysterious, and glowing softly with fireflies, and so began their unforgettable journey. They met Ray, the lovable firefly who believed with all his heart that the bright star in the sky, Evangeline, was the love of his life. They met Louis, the trumpet-playing alligator who dreamed of joining a jazz band. Together, the four of them ventured through the swamp, dodging frog hunters and creatures of the night, and battling exhaustion, hunger, and each other's stubbornness. But even in the muddiest moments, something beautiful began to grow between Tiana and Naveen. Amid laughter, arguments, and near disasters, they discovered they weren't so different. Tiana's drive balanced Naveen's carefree spirit. He softened her stress. She focused his drifting energy. Their journey was dangerous, but it brought them closer with each step. Eventually they found Mama Odie, the wise voodoo priestess who lived in a house perched high in a tree. With her playful magic, swirling sparkles, and dancing gumbos, she tried to teach them one simple truth: you've got to dig a little deeper. She showed them visions of what they wanted versus what they needed, guiding them to understand their hearts. Tiana realized she had been chasing her dreams so fiercely that she barely allowed herself to feel anything else. Naveen realized he wanted more than parties and freedom. He wanted a future with someone who made him better. But Mama Odie couldn't simply break the spell. They needed one last piece of magic, a kiss from a real princess. And Charlotte, for one brief night, qualified. So the group fled back to New Orleans, racing along the river, tangling with shadows, fighting for their lives, and holding tightly to hope. Ray, brave and glowing with love, risked everything to protect them. And when the moment finally arrived, when Charlotte agreed to help, midnight had already passed. Tiana and Naveen were still frogs. In that quiet moment, Sitting together under the shimmering glow of Evangeline's light, Naveen confessed he loved her, and Tiana, finally letting herself feel what had been growing all along, understood that love was a dream she hadn't known she needed. When they chose each other, even as frogs, something miraculous happened. Their vows, spoken with sincerity and sealed with devotion, transformed them both back into humans at last. Love had made Tiana a princess, and that was enough. Together, with help from friends and the entire community, Tiana finally bought the old building she had saved for since childhood. Naveen's parents admired her resilience. Big Daddy lifted his glass to toast her victory, and Charlotte, dramatic as always, celebrated like she'd earned the palace herself. The work was long. They scrubbed floors, painted walls, polished brass fixtures, restored windows, built a stage for musicians, and decorated every corner with New Orleans charm. Tiana prepared countless dishes: gumbo, beignet, crawfish étouffée, sweet pies, and fragrant sauces simmering on the stove. Naveen learned to chop vegetables without losing a finger. Louis and Ray's cousins brought music and sparkle. Mama Od added a touch of magic to the grand opening. At last, on a warm and glittering evening, Tiana's palace opened its doors for the very first time. The crowd poured in: locals, travelers, families, musicians. The band played lively jazz rhythms that filled the air with celebration. Charlotte spun around in delight. Big Daddy laughed heartily at the spectacle. Naveen danced with Tiana between tables, their joy spilling into every corner of the room. Ray's shining star, Evangeline, glowed overhead as if blessing the moment from above. Tiana paused for a moment amidst the music and celebration. She stood in the doorway, watching smiling faces, hearing clinking glasses, feeling the heartbeat of a restaurant she had built with her own hands. Every hardship, every long night working double shifts, every tear shed over dreams that felt out of reach, all of it had led her here, and in that moment, under the warm glow of lanterns and the soft shine of Evangeline's star, she knew what Mama Od had been trying to tell her all along. Dreams don't come true just because you wish for them. Dreams come true because you work for them, and because you open your heart to love. Naveen slipped beside her, taking her hand. Together, they stepped inside as the doors of Tiana's palace swung open wide, welcoming the world. And with a gentle smile, Tiana whispered to herself, "I don't think I need to wish on the evening star anymore. My dream has already come true."